Good day, everyone. So I wanted to add an addendum to the video on the Baltics versus Russia, or rather NATO versus Russia in a Russian conquest of the Baltic states. And what I wanted to talk about, and I should have probably talked about this in the original video, the first video, is what I would call warrior culture. I can tell you that the Russian armed forces and the Russian people um, have a warrior culture. The defenders of NATO, which would eventually come down to Germany, the United Kingdom, do not have the same warrior culture as they did World War II, obviously, especially Germany, and then post World War II. The Germans have been trying to remove this warrior culture from its society, and that stems from obviously what occurred during World War II and the Nazification of the state. But with that being said, I think they've taken it to an extreme in which the actual ground forces and armed forces just may not have that fighting spirit to engage in what would probably be total war. The Polish probably, well, I don't want to say probably, I believe that their warrior culture is greater than that of Germany. I would say France's warrior culture is probably greater than Germany and on par with France and England. But none of these states would have the same warrior culture as Russia, and that is incredibly important. And any person who has served in the armed forces, especially that of the United States, I think a good example would be combat elements of the United States Army, or especially the Marine Corps. Just a very good warrior culture that existed, or should still exist, hopefully. I've been out of the armed forces for a bit, within the scope of the United States, but I think that that would come into play immensely, and I just don't think it really exists with a lot of the NATO countries that have been indoctrinated into political correctness, this gender theory in which both of the sexes are the same, but it's really it's really done a number on some of these armed forces, and I think that if a conflict occurred with a near peer power, such as Russia, you would see that, and it would be catastrophic for some of these European states. They just don't. They've lost it. It just doesn't exist. Could they get it back? I don't know. Unfortunately, I think it's going to take something to happen, and once finally something happens, you then tend to react and understand that you've made a horrific mistake in your armed forces culture, because the armed forces, like it or not, are designed to kill people, not to as the German motto is to mitigate, and I don't even know what it is. It's some diversity leftist rhetoric that they've input into their armed forces. Just craziness. But I think, again, this is just one important topic that is not often talked about. Russia, definitely warrior culture, and you would see that in any kind of conflict with NATO. Anyway, please comment and have a great day.